Hey there, and welcome back to our Read Through the Bible in a Year series. Here we are at the beginning of week number 4, looking at Exodus chapter 19 through 23. Let's jump right in. We have experienced the Exodus, the going out from Egypt. God has led his people, the Israelites, out of slavery and is taking them to the promised land that he has said he is giving to them. They've traveled for 3 months now, and God has brought them to the base of Mount Sinai, in the Bible also known as Mount Horeb. And this is interesting because this is the same place that Moses was when he had the burning bush experience, where God first called him. So God has brought Moses and the people back to that same place he first called Moses. And God is preparing to give them the 10 Commandments and the law, and he has the people gather at the base of the mountain. I just want us to kind of picture ourselves as if we were there gathered with the people. And this is what we see as God is showing his presence to the people. The mountain is on fire. Smoke is billowing off of it. It's an earthquake going on. It says it's trembling violently. There's thunder and lightning, and there's a trumpet blast getting louder and louder. And the people have the appropriate response, I think, one that we would have ourselves. It says there in chapter 19 that everyone in the camp trembled. And I think this is an appropriate response that we all need to think about. God is all-powerful, and he is the supreme being, creator of the universe, and there is no one or nothing like him. And an appropriate response is for us to realize that and to tremble before the Lord. It is not us being scared that God is out to get us or something like that. It is just an appropriate response of standing before God and realizing how great and how powerful and how wonderful and how much in all that power he loves us, and having a response of trembling, a response of awesome respect and reverential fear, as it's called. Just realizing, truly realizing who God is and how powerful he is. It reminds me of what I consider to be my life verse in Isaiah chapter 66 verse 2. God says, "This is the one I esteem, this is the one I hold high. He who is humble and contrite in spirit and who trembles before my word." And we just need to constantly remind ourselves that we need to be people who understand who we are and who God is, and that God is great, and that everything we are, we owe to God. Every good thing we have, we owe to God. Our creation, our very life, we owe to God. And we need to have the proper respect and proper awe and reverence and tremble at that very thought. As we go on and look at where God starts giving the 10 Commandments, it's real important and crucial to notice what he says right before he starts giving the "you shall not" and etc. He says, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery." This is important for a couple reasons, I think. Number one, he reminds the people that he is God, he is the all-powerful one, he is the one who freed them, and that he gets to set the rules. He is the one in the position of authority, so he is the one that gets to say how we are to live our lives. The beauty of it is that God knows best how we are to live our lives, and so his rules help us to know best how to live our lives. But another important thing here to notice is that when he says to the people, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt," he's reminding them of how much he loves them and how much he cares for them and how concerned he is for his people. And then so part of giving the law and telling the people how to live their life, how to have a right relationship with God and with others, is that he's doing it for our own care and our own concern. The rules, the laws are not just rules to have rules, or not just so God can say, "I told you to do this and don't question me." It is in large part, the laws come out of his love for us, his care for us. And he's reminding them of that. I care for you enough. I brought you out of slavery. And I care for you enough that I'm going to give you laws to live by so you can know how to have the best relationship with me and with other people. So it's really a beautiful thing. I just want to point out, because it is one of the laws, honor, one of the 10 Commandments, honor your father and your mother. And then later on, as it's giving some more specific laws, it says anyone who curses his father or mother must be put to death. I just want to point out here that God makes a big deal about how we treat our parents. And this applies to everybody, whether it's children, teenagers or adults like myself. We all need to think hard about how we treat our mothers and our fathers, the respect that we show for them, the way we act towards them. Just a little side note, something we all need to always remember. Um, One other thing I want to point out in the reading today, a lot of various laws were given today, but there's one in there that a lot of people talk about, and it's where it says an eye for an eye. You were to take life for life, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And we think about this and we're like, is this a harsh punishment? You know, what's the deal here? What's going on? And I think there's two things. I think that it serves two purposes. When people knew that an eye for an eye, it made them think hard before they acted. I mean, if you knew that what you were doing to somebody else, if you were caught, that would be done to you. It would make you think hard about the consequences that are to come. So it makes you think before you act, and it makes you think about what could happen. A second thing I see in the eye for an eye is that it's a system for making sure that somebody who was hurt, who was offended, does not seek revenge, you know, that is over and beyond what was done to them. So like, you stole this from me, so now I'm going to kill you. You know, an eye for an eye would keep that from happening. You stole this from me, so now you have to pay me back the value that was. So in the eye for the eye, I think we really see two things. We really see it makes people stop and think hard before they act about the consequences of their action, and it causes the party that's hurt to keep from seeking revenge above and beyond what was done to them. As we look through the rest of the laws, to me, a few themes just kind of come out overall as to what the laws in general are about. And number one, we see in them a real concern for life, that life is sacred. You know, when life is taken by others, that or by an animal, you know, this is a big deal. And it just reminds us why life is sacred. Life is valuable. We have value as people because we are made in the image of God. As being made in the image of God, and we're the only creatures that are like that, we're made in the image of God, that gives us value in and of itself. And because of that, all life is sacred. Something else I see in the laws is this kind of overall theme that we must take responsibility for our actions. The things we do have consequences, you know, and this is a good lesson for us to learn in life, that our actions have consequences, that sin has consequences. It's just something important for us to remember, and I think we need to think about that more, about the things we do, and that there are consequences, that people get hurt. You know, thank God that we can ask God for forgiveness, but there are consequences to sin. There's consequences when people go their whole life without asking forgiveness for sin, eternal consequences. But even as we commit sins now, we hurt other people, you know, we ask for forgiveness, and God does forgive us. But there still are people hurt along the way. So we want to be real careful and real thoughtful about the way we treat others, and taking responsibilities for our actions, and thinking about what's going to happen before we do something. And then finally, I think we just see in these laws just a general concern and a care for people. We're made in the image of God, so we are made to be like God in certain, you know, in different ways. And God is compassionate, and God is caring. So it is in us, in our core, to be compassionate and caring people. In the laws, God outlines ways that we can be compassionate and caring for others. So interesting reading today as we get into the laws, and just a couple things to think about as we move forward. So today, may we all tremble in the presence of the Lord as we respect His power and His might, and as we thank Him for His goodness and His love and His concern that He shows for all of us. May we remember that God's rules are not just simply rules, but that they are His way of showing His concern for us, His way of showing us the best way to live life, to have a right relationship with Him and with others. May we think about the consequences of our actions before we act. May we show concern and compassion for others, And may we realize that all life is special and that all people are special because they are created in the image of God. And may we treat others with that type of care and that type of concern, especially those who are mistreated, especially those who are hurting. May we have God's care and God's compassion for them all. Y'all have a great day. See you next time.